This is Marialva, one of the 12 historic villages of Portugal, located in the region of Beira Interior near the Douro River in the northeast-ish of the country. This small mountain settlement is home to an impressive medieval castle and is surrounded by loads of old vineyards and olive groves. We recently took a trip here to enjoy the epic scenery, find inspiration in an incredible renovation project, taste some delicious food and sample some amazing wines from the local area. So stay tuned and see what we got up to. If you've seen any of our renovation videos, you'll know that we absolutely love old buildings and exploring the lesser trodden parts around this beautiful country. This historic part of the village is tiny, and most of the granite houses are now for tourism rather than the locals. But regardless, everyone we met here was super friendly and welcoming, and for most of our stay, we were the only tourists around. Within the footprint of the old village is the hotel Casas de Côro, which translates to choir houses. Now this is not like most hotels, as all the accommodation and facilities are spread out over multiple buildings, 13 houses that were once in ruins. Back in 2002, a Portuguese husband and wife began the process of restoring the old granite buildings. These are now home to luxury accommodation, a spa, a pool, a restaurant, and some beautiful landscaped gardens. In our opinion, the hotel and restaurant were a little bit overpriced, and unfortunately, as we were travelling off-peak, many of the activities that they offer were unavailable, and the spa didn't have any staff to provide treatments. But nevertheless, we really enjoyed spending time here in the very peaceful setting with amazing views over the surrounding landscape.
Well, it's amazing though. There's the stuff that has shot up since the fire already.
Yeah, some grass, some cork oak.
Yeah.
So about a month ago, on the 15th of August, there was a huge wildfire in this area. And we were chatting to the guys at the hotel about it, and they were saying it was really scary. They had to evacuate the whole village, including all the guests at the hotel. And pretty much everywhere we look, from the village, from the hotel, from the castle, you can see this huge burnt area. And standing in the middle of this, it's incredibly still, like there's no wind. I mean, you couldn't hear leaves blowing in the breeze because all the leaves have been burnt, but there is no breeze. It's completely silent. And it's a very weird feeling standing in all this devastation. And the fire came incredibly close to some of the houses. And there's even one part of the hotel where you can stand on the green grass that they irrigate next to a stone wall. And on the other side of the stone wall, there is just burnt vegetation. It's kind of crazy. And this is something that happens a lot in Portugal. Every year, every summer, there's loads of fires, and it doesn't often make the news in many other countries. I think it did this year because it was a really bad year for it. But yeah, it's something that is very much on the mind of a lot of the people who live in these rural interior parts. Fortunately, we've never seen anything this close to us, and fingers crossed we never do. But yeah, it's kind of scary.
Being in a part of Portugal that was new to us, it was high time we went in search of some local wines to taste. Our day of wine tasting started at 11 AM at the stunning Quinta do Vale Meão on the floodplains of the Douro River. We jumped in a rickety old Land Rover and took a tour of the estate. This 150-hectare vineyard sits on a plot of twice that size in the largest meander of the river. It was originally bare land, bought at auction from the local municipality way back in 1887. The buyer was Dona Antonia Ferreira, the owner of the largest winemaking estate in the Douro. Her dream was to create the perfect vineyard and winery from scratch with all of her past learnings. This ambitious project took 8 years to complete, from 1887 to 1895, but unfortunately she only lived to enjoy it for 1 year as she passed away in 1896. After enjoying a brief history lesson and some breathtaking views, we took a tour of the winery, which was in full swing as September is peak grape harvest time in this region. The winery uses traditional granite adegas for kicking off the red wine making process. Juice is then transferred to large stainless steel vats for fermentation for about 10 days. For some of the more commercial wines, the skins are then pressed to extract as much juice as possible. The whites are typically aged in stainless steel, and the reds spend some time in French oak for a different number of years based on the quality and price of the final wine. This facility was built back in the 1890s and still has its original roof structure, but also a modern ventilation and humidity control system to keep the wines under the perfect conditions for as long as needed. Here we sampled a white, 2 reds and a port while snacking on some delicious bread, cheese, olive oil and roasted almonds, all from the property. After what I can only describe as the perfect tasting, we took a short break for a snack and a non-alcoholic refreshing beverage at the nearby village of Porquinho, a popular stop on the train ride from Porto through the winding valleys of Douro. And then a couple of hours later, we did it all again, enjoying another tasting at a winery just down the road. This place was very similar to the first, but used a combination of traditional methods like stomping the grapes by foot in combination with modern technology and some very fancy looking fermentation vessels that looked like beehives. This winery, called Quinta do Reguengo, was also on the banks of the Douro. It had been pretty much abandoned until the current owners started a new project here in 2019. They have some exciting plans to turn the buildings that used to be a dairy and a cattle barn into a luxury wine tourism destination with accommodation for staff and guests, a restaurant and a tasting room over the next couple of years. Here we tried another white, 3 reds and this little beauty.
20-year-old tawny port. It's like dessert in a glass. Cheers. That is so good.
After enjoying the perfect sized tasting glasses, it was time to head back to the hotel for something to eat, and a proper sized glass of something cool and refreshing. On our first night, we'd enjoyed a traditional Portuguese meal at the hotel, sitting out in the gardens surrounded by flickering candlelight. It was absolutely beautiful, but the food was quite simple and a little bit pricey. The only thing on offer was a set menu, which included goat's cheese on toast, a vegetable soup, some braised beef with just 3 chips, and dessert was a couple of slices of cake. All very well seasoned and quite tasty, but a little bit lacking, and given the price tag, I wasn't that impressed. But the wine was pretty good. That being said, the hotel breakfast was excellent, with loads of options to fill us up for a busy day of touristing. For dinner on our second night, we went in search of something a little bit different, hopefully with better value and some more interesting flavours. But being a very remote village in the middle of nowhere, there was only one other dining option on our doorstep. Fortunately, this option was a wonderful tapas place run by a Portuguese couple originally from Lisbon. We ended up eating here for both of our remaining nights and enjoyed some delicious dishes with some great flavours and textures, and relished the opportunity to sample a wide selection of their wine list. After all the food and drink delights, it was time to wrap up our visit with something a bit more cultural, with a visit to the castle.
How you can see how these would have been houses back in the day, and these were the streets, even though they're not restored. It's fascinating. I wonder how many people lived in here.
I couldn't find too much information about the castle, but a bit of online research suggests it was built in the 12th century. Centreofportugal.com tells me that after Portugal gained its independence in 1179, King Alfonso Henriques granted the charter to Marialva, encouraged its repopulation, and built the castle over the years that followed. The town grew around this inaccessible fort, and it became one of the most important in the area during medieval times. However, Marialva began to decline progressively from the 16th century onwards. The castle was now outdated when compared to modern fortifications, and the population decreased progressively until the mid-20th century. It was at this point the government recovered the structure of the walls and battlements at a time when the rest of the village was already in ruins.
'76, 2007.
Surprising.
Yeah.
So unfortunately our mini break up here in the Douro or Beira Interior region has come to an end. It's time to go back to the farm and get back to work. But it's been a really nice break up here. The hotel and the whole village was absolutely stunning. We had some great food and the car is full of wine to take back home. So I hope you enjoyed coming on holiday with us. We will see you for something very different next time. But that's it for now. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.